Welcome to the HasMedia Podcast, the #1 marketing podcast in the world. I'm owner Has.
And I'm Okan Haas.
And our special guest today is Carl Sanfilippo, real estate mogul.
Real estate mogul, thanks. I've been waiting a long time for this opportunity to be on this couch with you guys, you know?
Yeah. Same here.
So, Carl, how'd you first get into real estate? What made you get into it? And were you always in real estate, or were you doing something else before?
That's a great question. I wasn't always in real estate. I was always passionate about real estate. I grew up, my mom did some commercial real estate. My dad did some real estate. Nothing too high level, but I was always around it. I went to college in Pennsylvania, Muhlenberg, got my master's degree at Lehigh, and I got what I thought was my dream job. And that was working in the political scene around Philadelphia. So I moved down to Philadelphia. I realized within 2 weeks of doing that job, that was supposed to be my dream job, that it was fucking miserable. So I bounced around a little bit. I quit that job, and I'll never forget it. I called my parents and I said, Mom, Dad, I'm going to move home. And we were in Hillsborough, New Jersey. And I said, I really want to get into real estate. I'm really passionate about it. Now, mind you, I just spent the last 5 years in school, right? Getting my master's degree. And I said, I know this was supposed to be my dream job, but it sucks. Like, life is too short. I'm not doing this. So I moved home. I got into real estate. And I said, I'm going to give myself 1 year to prove myself that I could do this. And if I can't do this in 1 year, I'm going to go get a real job. Because, you know, real estate's not a real job. Like, I always joke around, you go TV and people are like, I don't really know what I want to do with my life. Like, I'm going to go get my real estate license. So I said, I'm going to treat this like a job. I'm going to work 9 to 5. I'm going to put everything I have into it for 1 year and see how it pans out. And mind you, I was about 25 years old and I was piss poor broke, living with my parents. So I got a 0% interest credit card. I lived off that credit card. I would go to lunch with you guys and say, hey, give me the cash, and I'd pay the minimum, you know, everything you're not supposed to do. And I just worked and I treated it like a job. I started cold calling. I started at that time working with financial institutions, banks on distressed and foreclosure properties. And in my first full year of real estate, I sold about $15 million worth of real estate.
Wow.
About $300,000 in commissions. And from there, sky was the limit. But I started in April. I don't remember if it was 2005 or 2006, but I didn't have my first closing until February. So imagine working that long, making no money, and working over 40 hours a week. And I was blessed. My parents were really good. They were supportive, and I was using my 0% interest credit card. I was robbing Peter to pay Paul and just do what I had to do to make it. And I just did it by the phone, by the grit, and I just fell in love with real estate. And it spiraled from there, but that was one of those pivoting decisions I made in my life. And I was at that age. I was 25, right around there. I wasn't married. I had no kids. I was single. I said, let me just go in all in right now and see what I could do, because I might not have that opportunity in 10 years. Mm-hmm. And it was the best single decision I've ever made in my life.
That's awesome, man. What was that like first property like? What was like, run us through, what was going through your head when you saw the property at first? Did you know it was the one? Were you too attached to it? Because I hear a lot of times, like I heard you say this actually one time, like when you do renovations to like do fix and flips or something like that, like people get too invested into making it like the perfect property. Right. What was that like, that process like for you?
Well, I can start with this. I remember the first listing I got as a realtor, and it was the first deal I did, and it was in Watchung. It was like a $600,000 house at the time, which was a expensive house then. And I remember I was dealing with a bank. It was PNC Bank, and I've been cold calling banks trying to get listings from them for 6-7 months. And you guys know what it's like in business. You're hitting your head against, sometimes you feel like you're hitting your head against the wall. And I finally got my first listing from the bank, and I just remember it just being like, oh, like one of those like moments like I'll never forget. Yeah. All my hard work finally paid off. A $600,000 listing. I was 25 years old. I didn't have friends buying or selling $600,000 houses. It was more than the house I was living in with my parents. Mm-hmm. I was like, oh, this is great. And the moment I got my first listing, I was like, all right, I want my second. The moment I got my next second was a $500,000. I want my third. I want my fourth. I want 10. And we built it up to where we were doing over 100 deals a year. But I always had the mentality of like, I want more. I want more. How do we grow it? How do we scale it? Because what I would see at that time is other young agents in the business, they get a check, they go to Jamaica for 3 weeks, they come back broke, no deals, and they wonder why. And they were like, Carl, you're getting so lucky with all these properties. And I would just be like, I'd say, yeah, I guess I'm getting lucky, but I'd be thinking in my head, bullshit. You're out gallivanting and I'm working my ass off. That's why I'm getting the business and you're not. So I was selling real estate for about 5-6 years, whatever it was. And then I partnered with somebody on flipping houses. And the deal was you find the house and I'll fund them. I'm like, well, this is a great deal because I don't have the money to buy houses. Or at least I didn't think at that time I had the money to be able to buy the houses. So I remember finding the first house and it was just like a real easy cosmetic cleanup. And I said, all right, let's go in there. We could clean this up, turn it around. We maybe made like $40,000 that we split. It wasn't anything like mind-boggling like we see now. But I just remember it gave me the confidence to be able to start doing it on my own by first doing it with a partner. Plus, it was also a lot less nerve-wracking when it wasn't your money.
Yeah.
But I also was very nervous because I didn't want to lose somebody else's money.
Right.
To me, if I lose my own money, okay. But if I lose your money, oh, shit.
Right.
And I think that's a problem today is we see too many people raising money, not giving a shit about the investors. How many Ponzi schemes are we seeing? How many marketers are we seeing who really don't know how to manage the money? Like, if you're taking someone else's money, like, you're a steward of their money.
Absolutely.
And you have to act like that and take it serious.
Yeah.
So I remember doing that first renovation, and I was just like, and then when it closed, I was like, oh, okay. Like, I get this. Now I could do more. And then we ended up just kind of scaling and growing and buying tons of fix and flips.
So it sort of kind of like clicked with you at that point, right? To
Yes.
be able to get, and it seems like you put yourself in a no option, no plan B type of situation. Do you find yourself, do you find that that's the best way to grow, or that's the best way to scale within an industry? Like, put yourself in those pressure situations where there is no plan B?
100%, right? We all have one life. And I don't know about you guys, but I don't want to look back and have regrets. Be like, well, I've made some business decisions that were wrong, but at least I know I tried it. And yeah, did it cost money, time, aggravation? Yeah, but that's life and that's business. Not buying a business is not easy. I don't care what anybody says. So, we've acquired some businesses that might not have worked out, but I feel like I kind of live my whole life like back against the wall. I always kind of live it as like the underdog. I always try to live it as like, hey, people said I couldn't do this. Even with like our real estate portfolio now, we started off from buying condos to multi-million-dollar strip malls. And if you told me when I bought my first condo investment property, I paid $50,000 for that, then eventually I will be buying $4 million commercial properties, I would say bullshit. Right? But it's just like the progression of anything else. And I think it just comes down a little bit to my personality of I like to scale, I like to grow, and I like to go bigger. And sometimes when I have a bad day and I feel like, wow, cash flow is not where I want it, I said, the problems you have today, if I told myself 10 years ago those would be my problems, I would say, sign me fucking up right now.
So true.
Right? But when you're in it, you look back. And even just recently closing on a 3.75 strip mall, I was nervous. I own over 100 units, but I was nervous about doing this because it was my biggest purchase, different asset class. But then I just took myself back to that first investment property that I bought for $200,000, and how much of my stretch did I have to have then to be able to buy that property is the way I feel now. And when I look back, that was a fucking joke. So I'm going to say, one day I'm going to look back to this and be like, oh, that was a joke. Remember when I stressed out about buying 3.75? Because we're doing $30 million deals? So it's all about that. And I was in my mastermind. You guys know who Ed Milet is, right?
Yeah.
And he spoke at it, and he said something that was very hit home with me. He says a lot of times when people get successful, their temperature changes. And what he meant by that is, he goes, and I swear to God, a speaker is good on stage when you feel like they're talking fucking dead to you, right? And nobody else in the room. And he goes, you know what it's like? It's like, you start getting some money, you start getting successful, you drive a Range Rover, you join a country club, your temperature goes down because you think you're good. I was like, shit, I drive a Range Rover. Like, shit, I belong to a country club. Like, is my temperature going down? So, that really stuck with me because I think he's right. And there's always a next level that you can get to. It's and most people get comfortable that they don't really exceed to that next level. Mm-hmm. So I think I always live that like my back is up against the wall and I have no options.
Right.
And it's definitely a lot scarier when you're married with kids. But there are ways to set guardrails up where you can still go for it but have that security.
Right. And starting off too, did you, because obviously there was no like ChatGPT back then or anything like that where you could just find knowledge at the click of a button. Were you doing a lot of researching on your own? Did you have some sort of mentor that was helping you out? Kind of how'd you figure it out?
When I was an agent, there was really no masterminds. YouTube was just kind of coming up around 2005. It wasn't really a place for information. Zillow basically just was starting. So there was really no way to cut your learning curve down as much. I really just sort of figured out, all right, I dialed in on I want to list bank-owned properties. So I literally sat there and wrote the process down of exactly what happens to a property to go back to the bank. And I just came up with a system of I'm not going to focus on like listing everybody's house, I'm just going to focus on being the biggest agent doing this. Mm-hmm. So really I just kind of figured it out. I said, okay, at the sheriff's sale is the time when the bank takes back the property. And it wasn't online like it is now. So I would drive to the sheriff's sale, write down who the property went back to. Back then at Washington Mutual, Countrywide. And I'm going to call their 1-800 number because I don't know what else to do. And that's really how I built my foreclosure business. Mm-hmm. Now, when I got into like the brokerage business down the line, there was definitely some more coaches, mentors that you could hire to really cut down your learning curve and grow and scale. And I'm always seeking that, and I always say is different points of your life, you need a different mentor. The mentor I needed 10 years ago is much different than the mentor I need today because you're dealing with different problems. But having that person around you and guide you, it's worth it in spades if they are who they say they are.
Yeah.
If they pass that sniff test.
Absolutely.
100%. Because, the funny thing is, we were talking about sheriff's auctions. Me and Ocon, before we got into media, we were trying to get into real estate. And we went to the sheriff's office and just, like, looked at all these houses. And then someone told us, like, if you're going to go to the auction, you have to buy that thing out cash right? And I was like, what?
That's not 100% true, but yeah, you do. You got to be able to put a deposit down. But listen, what's funny about real estate? It's being in an industry that people love to talk about.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
People here, I could be at the chiropractor getting an adjustment. Like, I'm in real estate. Like, how about those interest rates? Like, dude, can you just fucking tell you whatever you want to hear when my neck is in your hands? Like, whatever. But it's an industry that people love. It's an industry that's built so much wealth, and especially with social media and everything. But there's a lot of misinformation out there, which really, really, irritates me. And a lot of people look at the real estate industry and realtor justifiably as part-time, not true professionals. And I think at our brokerage, that's something we really focus on, being that true professional.
Right. As a real estate investor, I'm sure there's like some industry standards that other investors kind of play the rules by. Is there anything that you do that is kind of like your own way of kind of getting into properties or investments? Like, is it like, do you have your own way of kind of operating? Yeah,
so a lot of people you'll see like on social media, like, oh, if the number is this, this, and this, I look at it as three factors. Will this property appreciate over time? Is it in an area that will appreciate? Now, yeah, it could dip a little bit, but eventually in the long run, will it go out? If it doesn't, I'm out. Am I able to force some appreciation and cash flow? So does it need repairs? Is it a commercial property and the leases are all done bad that I could redo? Like, how can I come in right away and force appreciation and not rely on the market? And 3, does it cash flow? Am I cash flow positive? And I got to add a fourth thing too, is will this help me save money on my taxes?
Yeah.
Because when you're earning, you want to be able to, if you're not planning on taxes and you're not really paying attention, you have a silent partner that can wipe you out. So I look at those four things when I'm investing in real estate. And if it checks those four boxes, I'm usually in.
Yeah.
Because if you could check all four of those boxes, you're creating equity, you're increasing your net worth. I'm going to be doing a cost segregation on this strip mall, and it's about $1 million tax savings.
Wow.
What else could you do to save $1 million in taxes?
Can't really think of anything.
Not much, right?
Yeah.
And what did I do is I bought an asset that I know I could force appreciation, checked all the boxes. I know there's going to be cash flow, and I know the taxes, and I know I could add value. So it checks all four of those things, like, let's buy it. And like I said, it was the biggest purchase of my life. So I was obviously nervous about it. And for some reason, the conference room we did the closing must have been about 200 degrees. So I'm just sweating. And I'm like, am I this nervous, or is it just this hot in here? But, calculated risk is what I like to call it.
Calculated risk.
I've heard like Robert Kiyosaki talk about real estate investing a lot, and he said that you have to have like some type of like a certain percentage of cash flow. Like just because it cash flows doesn't mean like you're in the green. Like, do you have like a buffer that you go by?
I don't know so much of a percentage, but more by the numbers and how much repair it needs, and obviously if it's an older house. But we don't really look at like a percentage wise. We kind of look at just like the scenario.
Mm-hmm.
But it is true. I mean, one of the things is we're getting away from residential real estate and getting more into commercial real estate, because broken toilets could kill all your cash flow. I mean, if you have that tenant, just every little knick-knack thing you're getting out there, it can really kill your cash flow. Where I own some properties that are triple net. So that means all the expenses are really on the tenants. And if they go up, it's on the tenants. And the cash flow, the properties I cash flow the best on are commercial properties. So when I look at it, I'm like, why don't I have more of these?
Yeah.
Who cares? I remember thinking, man, if I could ever get to 100 units one day, like, I'm the fucking man. Well, I'm at 100 units, and I still don't think I'm the fucking man. So it's not about how many units you have. It's about how they're positioned. And I know somebody who had a huge real estate portfolio of residential properties, a couple hundred properties, and he sold them all to go to warehouses because he said it was such triple net. He said it was so easy that all you do is collect a check.
Yeah.
Literally, that's it.
Yeah, I know. I heard like when we used to do the FedEx business, the warehouse that they were leasing is like it's like a 50-year lease or something like that. Like,
yeah, and then taxes go up, it's on the tenant.
Yep.
Insurance goes up, it's on the tenant. Repairs need to be made, unless it's like structural typically, it's on the tenants. So when you're a landlord, you're able to predict your cash flow a lot more, not having those unknowns. And again, I guess it took me a little bit just to get there, like on a comfort level. But what was great was I was able to buy these residential properties, and they appreciated so much. I was able to sell them, do a 1031 exchange, to start buying more of these commercials. So I have 2 properties on the market now. Once I sell them, I'm going to 1031 both of them, and then I'm looking for another $3 to $4 million commercial property.
gotcha.
So I'm just it's just like playing chess.
Right.
So in our like in our position, right? I mean, our family owns some real estate, but like if we were just to look at it put the scope on just HasMedia, 2 brothers started a business, we're starting to do well. We have no real estate that we own through the business or anything like that. Like, what would be some advice? Like, how would you go and like leverage
Our business cash flow?
Or do we find investors, and how do we get into a commercial property, or do we have to start residential to kind of like build that up?
Well, one is you never want to buy a building through your business.
Okay.
Right? Because if something happens with the business or the building, you'll be both will be intertwined and liable.
Right.
What you want to do is buy a building under an LLC, and then you want to rent it back from the LLC. So if I were you guys, what I would do is take some of that cash flow. I would buy a multi-unit commercial building where there's 2 tenants, 3 tenants, and I would buy that building, put your business in one and rent out the others, and put the other ones on triple net, put yourself on triple net, pay yourself the fair market value rent, and that's where I would establish my business.
Gotcha.
That to me is really strong. If you occupy 51% of it, you can get an SBA mortgage, which is backed by the government, which you only have to put down about 10%. But that's what I would do to start off with buying commercial, because you're going to need a place for your business.
Right.
And then if you want to move your business, the good thing is you could always rent out your section and then just turn it into a true asset. But if I had to restart it, I would have got into commercial real estate a lot sooner.
Yeah.
I think I was just nervous and I didn't really know, and you don't see as much. Commercial real estate's a whole different world.
It feels a lot more intimidating.
It's a lot more intimidating. It's usually bigger numbers. It's tougher to wrap your head around, but like once you do it, I bought a small strip mall and warehouses in South Jersey for $1.4 million. I got seller financing on the deal. So the seller held a note, and there's a lot more seller financing in commercial real estate.
Oh, wow.
Seller held the note. I went in and I redid all the leases. I turned them into what's called gross modified. So any increases would be their responsibility. I kind of buffered, but I didn't want to totally shock the tenants that were there.
Mm-hmm.
I raised all the rents. They all signed. My cash flow went up like 50%, and I wasn't responsible for the expenses. And it's one of the better cash flowing properties I have. And it's in a redevelopment zone. And I've been talking to the town and already talking about when I make the building vacant, about tearing it down and building on it.
Gotcha.
Nice.
So there's so many. So what I did too, by increasing the NOI, the net operating income, I brought the value from that building at an 8% cap rate from 1.4 million to about 2.3 million dollars.
Oh, wow.
It's a pretty big increase in a year, $900,000.
Yeah.
That's
All I
crazy.
did was put a new roof on the property for $40,000.
Wow.
That's the power of commercial real estate. And what's great about it too, it's much more of running a business. It's much more business-like than owning a bunch of rentals.
Gotcha.
And how do you manage, like you said, you have, your portfolio is over like 100 units. How do you manage something of that scale?
So about 4 years ago, we opened up our own property management company. It's called CMS Property Management. And part of the reason I did that was we knew how to manage properties. And there was a big need for other landlords or investors that needed management. And what's great about this business in real estate is it's a lot of residual it's a lot of reoccurring revenue. We manage somebody's property, we charge a monthly fee. We kind of know within a certain percentage points of what our revenue is going to be every month compared to residential brokerage. There's a lot of companies who are acquiring property management companies just because of that. It's also given us access to deals. So we were managing the strip mall that we recently just purchased. So I first look at purchasing it. So I was able to buy it off market.
Gotcha.
So we built this property management company. We deal with probably about 300 different landlords. We're looking to get to about 1,500. We have a great team in place. And having that team in place has really allowed me to go out and buy more real estate because I don't get stuck with the managing part.
Right.
I don't want to deal with the calls about
Yeah.
toilets leaking and stuff. I want to scale this thing.
Yeah, absolutely. So actually 2 questions off of that. So someone who's just starting off in real estate, right? They want to get into their first real estate investment. Would you recommend, residential property, like a fix and flip or something like that? And then my second question off of that is, once you do start to slightly scale, when is it time for you not to be the person managing everything?
Great question. So people investing in real estate, I don't think there's a one size fits all. If you're a doctor or attorney and you want to start investing in real estate and you're making $1 million, $2 million a year, don't go fix and flip. Right? There's actually some things you could do buying Airbnbs to be able to do the bonus depreciation to help offset your taxes. if you're not making a lot of money in your 9 to 5 and you don't have a lot of revenue, I'd probably tell you to start off doing fix and flips. Or if you've been doing fix and flips and you're a real estate professional, then I'm going to, or if you're a real estate professional earning a lot, but I usually tell people to start with the fix and flips to generate more revenue and take that revenue to buy the rental properties.
Gotcha.
But if you're already a high earner and higher revenue, like, don't fucking flip a property. Like, there's no need for you to flip a property.
Not worth it. Yeah.
It's not worth it. By the time you pay taxes, all the headaches, it's not going to help you. But
Right.
buying rental properties or buying some Airbnbs, taking advantage of some of the bonus depreciation that's under the big beautiful bill, that is a great strategy. But most people fix and flip, take the revenue, buy rentals,
Gotcha.
and then rinse and repeat.
And then so after that, let's say, I got a couple properties under my belt. When is it time to start having it get managed externally?
I tell people you should unload the management as soon as possible.
Okay.
Because I can tell you this is, yes, we charge a fee to manage your property. I was the worst property manager before my company. So when my property management company took over my portfolio, one of the people in my company says to me, like, all your stuff is like really under-rented. I said, yeah, I know. Well, this person was nice. They paid me during COVID. I don't want to raise the rent. They're like, let us take it over. And they started increasing rents, getting them to rental values. And my portfolio is so much better now that it's managed that whatever fee I pay to my own company is actually saving me money because all my rents are where they're supposed to be. Yeah, I'd be the worst at, like, there's a lease violation or a late fee, I wouldn't charge it. They charge it. Like, they're doing what you're supposed to do. So I realize I'm not the best operator in management, but I'm really good at finding deals. I'm really good at structuring the debt. I'm really good at getting it to closing. Now I get it to closing and I hand it off.
Right.
And let me go get another one while they do all the bullshit behind the scenes.
So you're really, really doubling down on what you are good at.
What do I enjoy, man? I love making a good deal, right?
Yeah.
There's nothing more exciting than locking up a deal. I still get excited about it.
Right.
And I'll probably be 60, 70 years old trying to lock up, I just got this great deal, like, because that's what keeps you young.
Absolutely. Would you say you have to be a certain type of person to be able to get into these type of real estate investments? Or because it seems like there is, even when you were saying earlier, like there's a lot of pressure that kind of came with it, until you kind of figured it out. Is there a certain type of person that you have to kind of be able to handle that pressure? Or?
No, I don't think there's any type of person, but it's like anything else. It's not for everybody.
Right.
Not everybody should own a company. Some people are better off being employees. And then they're employees and they think they can run the company, and then when they realize that's not what they want, they're better off being an employee. So you got to be able to handle some type of pressure. You got to be able to handle risk. But I also know really good investors who have accounting backgrounds. They were CFOs or whatever else, and they're really good because they know the numbers. And they're very good at, like, nope, doesn't fit this, nope, doesn't fit this, nope, doesn't fit this. And I'm a little less like that. So it's really not about what type is better. It's just about being able to handle the pressure, about taking some risks. And it could change anybody's life. Yeah. I know some people who are really big real estate investors, and when you talk to them, you'd be surprised. Right. They don't seem like that type.
Yeah.
But like anything else, you just never know who's going to be the right person for that industry.
Yeah. So I have a question. Is a couple people that I talked to when you brought them on the podcast, like Matt and Adam and everybody, like they referred to you as a master scaler. What is because you're not just in the real estate space, you're also a businessman. And what does it take to actually scale a company or scale a vision, and like take yourself out of that seat? Because it sounds like what you were just explaining is you're really good at delegation. And I think in business, people have a hard time, including us, like in the beginning. Delegating was like one of the hardest things for us.
I think delegating was pretty easy for me because I know I'm not good at a lot of things. We've scaled some businesses, we've sold some businesses, we acquired. Sometimes we've done addition by subtraction. Sometimes bigger is not always better.
Right.
sometimes people like to go around and pound on their chest about like their revenue numbers, but their profit might not where it be. And sometimes you're better off having the same profit with less revenue. It's less bullshit. So with scale, what I've really learned over the years, man, it comes down to one thing. It comes down to the people. You could have the best systems. You could have the best technology. You could have the best personality. You could be the best salesperson. But if your support team and the people around you aren't good, it's all for shit. I have a bookkeeper. I've never paid a commission. Last year, my real estate brokerage, we did over 2,000 transactions. So since 2000, we've probably done 15,000 real estate transactions.
No.
I have paid 0 of those commissions. If you ask me how to pay the commission, I don't know. I'd have to handwrite the check. Probably wouldn't be right. But I just know I'm not good at that. And you have to hire the right people. If you hire the right person, it's not an expense on your P&L. It's actually revenue on your P&L. And I think people get that wrong. You hire the wrong person and you're paying them, which I have, yeah, it's an expense. And you have to move on. And I think one of my weaknesses is sometimes I haven't moved on from people that I should have soon enough. Because you don't want to deal with it or you think it's going to change. But we've swung and missed on a lot of things. But we've connected and hit home runs on others. But the better the people you have around you, the more talent you have around you, the better you're going to be. I was reading an article the other day, or maybe some social media, whatever. It's like the C students own the businesses, the A students run them, and the B students are like the employees. And that kind of resonated with me because I was a very, very C student in school,
Yes,
if not a D student, right?
Yeah.
And I always say I'm unemployable. Like, if you wanted to hire me, I'd probably ask for too much money and I'd probably be annoying. Like, you wouldn't want me in there running. But I also know I'm not the best at running the company, but I'm pretty good at finding people who can run it. And I could just kind of add fuel to the fire. And I'm always thinking growth, I used to, if I could only hit this stage, if I could only, even with the real estate investment, if I could only hit 100 units in my life. Shit, now that I'm at 100, like, what am I going to do? I'm going to stop? Like, no, you got to keep going.
Right. 1,000 units.
Yeah, 1,000 units.
But I see you say a lot of times, like, this is like the next 4 years is the biggest opportunity that we have as, in the real estate industry. And you referenced the Big Beautiful Bill a lot too. For the average person that maybe doesn't know much about the benefits of that, what are some of those that you would kind of put to light?
So if you're classified as a real estate professional, which means you work a certain amount of hours per year towards real estate, the government under the Big Beautiful Bill has bonus depreciation.
Okay.
So what that is when you buy a piece of real estate, it typically appreciates, but the IRS looks at it as a depreciating asset.
Right.
So one of the only few things that appreciates, the IRS looks at depreciating. And if it's a commercial building, it's like 39 years, whatever it is, residential, 20-something years. So over those years, you could take some of that depreciation to offset your income, whether it's a W-2 or you own the business. What the bonus depreciation does is it allows you to take 100% depreciation after you purchase the property.
Oh, wow.
So instead of over 29 years, you can pretty much take it all in one shot.
Oh, wow.
So when I bought this building for $1.4 million, the cost segregation was able to set off $300,000 of taxable income, right? And then if you're in the 40% tax bracket, 300,000 times 40, $120,000 of actual cash.
Wow.
Which will allow you to take that cash and do what?
Reinvest.
Buy more real estate.
Damn.
All right. The caveat is when you sell, whatever depreciation you've already taken, you got to pay back. So a lot of these big commercial buildings that are being sold, you will never see them on the market again. You will never see some of this big commercial real estate ever sell on the real estate market. It's going to get passed down because they don't want to pay back the bonus depreciation, right? It happens with Trump.
That makes a lot of sense.
Trump, show us your tax return. You haven't paid taxes. There's a not to get political, but there's a on stage you see him talking to Hillary Clinton back in the first election, And about not paying taxes, he's like, well, I just took advantage of the tax code that you guys wrote. Right? And he buy a high rise for $300 million. Your bonus depreciation is going to be 25% of 300. You're not going to pay taxes for a long time.
Wow.
Right?
Yeah.
So, and it was fading out before Trump was reelected. But when he got reelected, he reinstated it, and we were buying properties as if it was going to get reinstated because that everyone thought so. So these properties that we bought since he's been back in office, we've been able to take advantage of the bonus depreciation. So real estate agents inherently are real estate professionals. So I'm telling them, like, this is your opportunity to buy real estate, build wealth, save taxes, because the number one issue a producing real estate agent has is their tax bill. Because realtors are 1099. Right? You close a commission for $20,000, here's your check for $20,000. You're responsible for the taxes, you're responsible for Social Security, that's all on you. So if the realtor doesn't save and plan right, they could be in big trouble, or all the money that they thought they saved is now going to the IRS. So this is a huge opportunity for realtors. It's a big opportunity for me. It's a big opportunity for my partner, and that's why we're looking at trading up some of the stuff we have to bigger jobs. And, you know, I want to make this where my tax liability is wiped out for a foreseeable future while building my assets and my wealth.
That's crazy.
And what's a bigger opportunity than being able to do that?
I don't think anything.
Well, you're business owners,
Yeah.
right? How much does April suck?
That's terrible.
Yes.
Right? The faces you two just made when I said that, right? Like, oh, you know, and you write that check. And right? And if you don't write that check, you're screwed.
Yeah.
The IRS is not going away.
And they don't care.
They don't give a fuck.
Yeah.
So, you know, we're always good. We don't bend the rules. We don't skirt, you know, 1,000,001 different things people do. We just buy real estate. And you have to get a report called a cost segregation, which you pay for. But these reports are huge, and you submit them with your taxes. So nothing's audit proof, but it's a true deduction. It's a true calculation that's done. And it's been something that's been a game changer. So being in my role in real estate and my position, I feel like it's my duty to like scream from the top for people to do this. And whether or not they do it, that's up to them, but they're never going to go back and be like, well, Carl, you never told me about this.
Yeah.
You know, you're supposed to be a leader in the industry. I am, but like, there's only so much I could do for you.
Gotcha. So how do you get into the commercial real estate game without like, I mean, you just said a $1.4 million strip mall, like, that's something that we can't buy together tomorrow, right? Like, how do we find funds to get money?
Well, you know, you don't know if you do seller financing, you don't know what the down payment's going to look like.
Mm-hmm.
There's ways to structure it. You can get the deal. You have a big due diligence period, get the money then. If it's a deal, you always find the money.
Yeah.
I truly believe that. Commercial real estate is old school. It's networking. It's knowing the brokers. Good commercial deals typically aren't on LoopNet or CoStar. It's all typically done off market. So knowing the brokers, having that reputation. And when I talk to a commercial broker and I want to get in on some of the off market deals, what I'll just do is I'll say, hey, listen, I have a 1031 exchange I'm doing that I have to buy something or I get taxed. That is the best way to get a commercial broker's attention. Then like, hey, I'm just looking to buy a strip mall. Can you help me? They get those calls all the day. Hey, listen, I got a 1031. I got to buy something in the next 60 days. What do you got? How do I get to the top of your list?
Gotcha.
So really there's a ton of different ways to structure the deals, and learning the velocity of money, you know, and underwriting mortgage deals are a lot different than buying like a house. So there's ways to get the money to offset that. If you find a really good deal, you could go to somebody and say, hey, you guys put up the down payment and we'll give you 30% of the equity, whatever it might be. I mean, there's 1,000,001 different ways to structure it.
Yeah, that's crazy. I want to get into, I mean, we're kind of in the real estate game, obviously, but it is so fascinating, man. It's like, from what I hear, it's usually, you know, you set yourself up for life, you know, and it's a long-term play, but Can you? Is there anything that you can create with like short-term play to get something quick, or is real estate just long-term?
No, I mean you could do fix and flips.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we've had fix and flips where we've made almost $200,000. You know, and we made that in 7 months.
Yeah.
You know, there's those are out there, but fix and flip, you make 700, you pay the government this, that, dwindles a lot.
Yeah.
But to generate revenue, to be able to go buy properties, I mean, I have a fix and flip now I'm doing. And I did it because I knew I could buy it. It wasn't a huge project. I know I can make pretty much 20% return on my cash. I said, shit, I'm not going to make that in the bank.
Yeah.
So I'm like, let me just do it because I know real estate. Listen, I've done other investments, right? I always joke around. You want to buy a stock? Let me buy it. You short it. And then let's split the difference of when you short it, because the minute I buy it, it's going to go down. Like, I'll guarantee it, right?
So true. Yeah.
You know, I invest in a restaurant. Who the hell knows? All right. But when I invest in real estate, it works. It's when I do this other stuff that is really, I might as well go to Atlantic City and put down 50,000 on black.
Yeah.
Because I probably have the same chance of getting that money back as I do in investing in some random restaurant or something, you know? But when I invest in our sort of sphere of what we're doing is when we get the best returns.
Gotcha. Yeah. I mean, I think like it's such a huge opportunity with a lot of things right now. I always often hear you say on some of the calls, like, you know, people are like, you know, I don't know how to do it, or it's impossible to find it. New Jersey's too expensive. Like talk about a little bit about that, like, because you go to a place like Arizona or like Michigan, you're finding homes for a couple $100,000.
Well, I always say just because it's cheap doesn't mean it's a good deal.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you can still go to Trenton and buy shit cheap, but like you got to wear a bulletproof vest, and you know it's doesn't mean it's a good deal. And a lot of people get cheap and good deal confused.
Is there a lot of meat left on the bone in New Jersey? Like, there's a lot of...
I believe so. I believe so. All of our properties are in New Jersey. What's good is, you know, I was talking to a friend of mine, and he was saying he used to own a bunch of properties in Albany, and he used to rent them out for cash flow. Let's just say he bought them for $100,000. He said, I saw him 20 years later for $110,000. And he's like, you know, I missed so much opportunity having that money tied up in those properties, where if I just bought in Red Bank, or if I just, you know, instead of going up 10,000, they would have tripled. Right? So there's that opportunity cost. So that's why I always look for that appreciation. And I can tell you this, the same people say, oh, there's no deals in Jersey. Oh, Cleveland is so competitive. Everybody's looking to buy properties in Cleveland. I have zero desire to go to fucking Cleveland.
Yeah, you're right.
Unless the Knicks are playing the Cavs,
Yeah.
I do not want to go to Cleveland. But then, so people it's just a limiting belief.
Right.
There are deals everywhere. There's deals all the time. Again, people just like to make excuses why they can't do things. But I had another good friend. He's in Long Island. He buys a lot of deals. He does a lot of fix and flips. And before that, he was buying houses in Detroit for, I think he said he bought a house there for like $800. Like literally $800.
Oh
Wow.
my God.
But it was a disaster. It wasn't
Yeah.
even worth the $800, you know? And I think I was telling this story before. I had an opportunity to buy a fraternity house. And the numbers were like really well, but I'm like, do I really want a fraternity house at this point in my life? Like, no, but the deal was still there.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess being in real estate as long as I have and the reputation we've built, that we get a lot of deals presented to us. So there's still a lot of meat on the bones in this area. And if anything I think there's a lot more opportunity because we have a very older population that wants to get the fuck out.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's true.
Right? And their houses aren't updated. They can't believe how much you're going to offer them for the house and the condition it is, with you knowing that, hey, I can put another level on this. I can fix it up and rehab it. You know, they're like, oh, I bought this house for $100,000 30 years ago. I know I haven't updated since. I know it needs work, and you want to give me $500,000 because you know it's worth $700 renovated.
Right.
So there's a ton of opportunity in New Jersey because there's a whole population that wants to move out of grandma's house and move to Florida.
Yeah.
Right? And New Jersey's always, with New York, it stays strong. What we see too a lot in the real estate markets is Florida, Vegas, Arizona. Those are the markets that like will go up a lot, but then they'll come down a lot. Go up a lot, but then come down a lot. Where in New Jersey, we see prices go down, but we see it a lot more stable than some of these other areas because these are where people live. They work. Their kids are in school here.
Yeah.
People are going to walk away from their second house a lot faster than they're going to walk away from their main house where the kids go to school and that's their community.
100%. And there's a lot of money here. I mean, I know Dan Kennedy, I was mentioning him before. He's like the father of marketing.
Right.
And I was reading one of his books, and he said so many business owners make the biggest mistake, and they'll just try to do business anywhere or try to market anywhere. And he's like, just go after the richest zip codes, and you'll make your money.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because people have the money to actually afford whatever it is you're selling or whatever it is you're trying to get investments into.
Yeah, and I think it's easier to deal with high net worth individuals most of the time because if you do what you say, a lot of high net worth individuals respect paying for a good job, right? Because a lot of them are business owners and they know how it is in their business. I don't mind paying a fee that might be quote unquote high if I'm getting exceptional service. How many restaurants do I go to where the price is incredibly high, $200 a head to go to dinner, but I keep going back because the food's delicious and the service is great. But people will pay for good service and good experience. Yeah. And that's why sometimes catering to high net worth individuals is a lot easier, and that's why it's important like who your sphere is. And I have a lot of agents, Carl, I want to sell luxury houses. If you're not around high net worth people, it's harder to sell their luxury houses to get in to sell the houses.
100%.
Because you're not in that network. So who you surround yourself with makes a huge difference.
And it's hard for them to get the win too. You know what I mean? Or it's harder for you to service the client. I know one of the biggest things that happened to us last year is we started like parting ways with a lot of the lower paying customers that we've just had on for a while. And it was just kind of like your story with the, we don't want to charge extra fees because he got me through COVID and all this stuff. But what we realize is those people are, they're paying their last dollars to you. And for them to become hyper successful in what they want to become, like, yeah, they can put in the work and everything, but it tends to become a lot harder. Whereas now with a lot of the entrepreneurs that we work with, like they have money. And if I say like one of the clients that we have, I was like, pay to play. Like if you want your brand and your your business to be known, like there's some podcasts out there that get hundreds of millions of views. You know what I mean? You paying that $10,000 to be on that podcast, it's just going to open you up to the world, and people are going to know about you and your business now, right? So, but it also ties back to your personal brand. So they have, what I'm trying to say is like the people that we're working with now, they have the money to make that happen, right? So the process becomes super easier. Whereas like if I told that to one of the clients 2 years ago, they'd be like, what the fuck are you talking about?
Right.
You know what I mean? Right. But like the success gets harder for them because it's like, oh, well, this has to work. Whereas
they kind of put their eggs in one basket.
Yeah.
Well, I think that happens a lot to most business owners is you start your business, and I have mentors, and you just grab whatever revenue you could get, right? I'll do this because you're not desperate, but you're like, I need money, I need revenue, like let's do this. But then when you figure out who your ideal client is, what we call them your avatar, and then you build all your marketing around the avatar, is your life and business gets so much easier.
Oh my God.
Yeah, it's way more enjoyable too.
Way more enjoyable. Yeah. And sometimes that's that addition by subtraction.
Yeah, that's kind of how we started too. I mean, obviously Kyle, we started with the Panda Man. It's probably like 4 years ago now. But, we just worked for him. Like me and owner were trying to get into something. I had just quit my job as an architect. and owner was running the trucking business. And so I was in California. I was like, I can't be working for somebody else. It's just not it's not who I am, right? Something just clicked for me, and then canceled my lease, flew right back home, and then we were home for like a little bit, and we're just like trying to figure something out, and it got to a point where I was just like frustrated, and I was like, dude, like whatever you do, man, just pick something, I'll go with it, right? Like just like I don't want to hear the bullshit anymore.
We got to show you some of the videos. We used to take videos in the car, and just like start recording on the iPhone. Like, hey guys, today like we're trying to get into real estate. We're going to the sheriff's office right now.
That's so good. That's so good. I love that.
And then so then owner, he was getting coached by Kyle like back in the day, probably like 12 years prior. He had a good friend that used to get trained for like lacrosse there, right? So he was like, dude, you got to see this guy, man. He's got something or something like that, right? And like I was like, dude, whatever, man, like whatever. And then I wasn't looking at the video, and then he finally showed me. He's like doing some mallet drill or something like that, and like speaking like a motivational speech. I'm like, oh, dude, this guy's freaking awesome. Yeah. So like the next day we went and filmed, and we were just doing it, and then we just kind of clicked for us, and it just felt kind of effortless. And then we didn't ask for anything in return. We're like, when the money comes, it'll come. Let's just keep focusing on this. We did that for probably like a year or so, right?
Yeah, it was like 8 months.
Yeah. And then Kyle had joined like a mastermind. We felt some type of way about that. We're like, oh, like he's gonna invest into a mastermind. Like we were kind of doing this for a while.
Yeah, it was an expensive mastermind.
Right.
But it was whatever. Like whatever. It'll come back to us, whatever. And then like one of the guys like shouted Kyle's page out. And then once he shouted Kyle's page out, he's like, whatever Kyle's guys are doing, like hit him up. Like, kid you not, the next day we probably had like 500 DMs. And we were like, I'm like in my bedroom at like my parents' house. Like, owner,
you're like, what the fuck?
Yeah, owner like slams the door open. We're not even charging anything at that point. I think we had like one client at like $500 a month. And like, that was about it. And then like one owner talks to one guy. The guy's like, "Oh, like what will you do it for?" And he's like, like we charge, like 1,000 or whatever, and then or like $800 or something like that. And then he was like, "Oh yeah, done." And the owner was like, "Wait,
oh shit. Yeah. We said too low. Said too low.
So next guy calls, same thing. And then we kind of just ended up taking on all these guys as we wanted to start this media company,
right,
and this marketing company. As we kept kind of going through that, we learned really quickly that a lot of those guys weren't our avatar.
Right.
So it became really, really draining, right? So then we had all this kind of baggage on us, right, that we had to deal with, and then slowly started subtracting, like you were saying, and then eventually now we really understand our avatar, our ideal client is. Like we're really starting to understand who that person is, and when we see that person, we're like, okay, yeah, that's the guy, that's the feeling that we got when we first saw Kyle, kind of thing. You know what I mean? So like, they have to be somebody that's built something, because a lot of the times you see on social media is these people could be preaching about something, but like, did they even go through it? Like, do they like been probably doing it for a week, or maybe they're just an enthusiast, right? Like they just they like talking about it, right? But I think where people really resonate with other people is when you're kind of speaking about things that you've actually gone through, and you can speak about it in confidence, right? And people actually connect with that. And once you can kind of tap into that and find those people, then you can share value to the world. Is kind of how I look at it.
Yeah, you got to feel the pain a little bit of actually really doing it to be able to help others.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and no one can replicate your story, and I think that's the biggest thing is, some of these guys online, they get lucky and they intimidate people, or they tell them like these crazy things that you got to go through. And I think one of the things that opened up my eyes, like one of the first calls that we did, you said, like, I hopped on the call. I was like, Carl's going to spit some fire right now, And you did, don't get me wrong. But in the beginning, it was all just simple stuff.
Right.
I'm like, why is he talking so simply? And then I got it. I'm like, it's because it is simple. People are just like overcomplicating it. Like they want to know like this like extravagant magic formula that's going to make me a millionaire overnight, and that's not how it happens. Like you kind of have to just go into it.
Yeah, there is no magic bullet, like you were saying before.
Yeah, the easy, keep it simple, stupid, right? The easier something is, number one, the more consumable it is, and when it's more actionable it is. And there's a lot of people out there who always I always say they like to get their rocks off thinking I'm the expert. You gotta do this. I mean, we're not, I'm not doing anything that people haven't done before. We're not,
Right.
we're not curing cancer.
Yeah.
We're showing people how to buy real estate. And, we did an interview with someone that I mentored who bought his first fix and flip. And he was trying to do it for 2 or 3 years. All I did was give him the confidence and show him the roadmap on how to do it. And it's just kind of like this is when you have the roadmap of how to do something, then you just have to execute it.
Yeah.
But if you don't have the roadmap, you're screwed. It's like me coming here today. I didn't wake up, get in my car, and say, I'm going to go find HasMedia. I think it's around here. Let me drive around.
Mm-hmm.
I put it in my navigation, and I had a roadmap exactly how to get here.
Right.
And it was easy.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
And if you don't have that roadmap, you lose a lot of time. I mean, this is someone looking for a fix and flip for 2 to 3 years.
Mm-hmm.
In 2 months, we got him closed on one. In 2
Wow.
months, we got him
Wow.
under contract and closed on a deal in the neighborhood he wanted to be in.
That's
Yeah,
awesome.
So just by keeping it simple, giving them the confidence.
And vice versa. Like if you have the roadmap, but you don't take action on it.
Yeah, I was gonna say the same thing. Taking action, I feel like you
Yeah.
gotta do it.
Well, and that, it's half the reason you have to charge to help people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because if he said having skin in the game motivated me to getting this done.
Mm-hmm.
Where if I was just helping him for free, he would just be kicking the can down the fucking street.
Yeah.
And the investment that he made into our program is going to pay him back who knows how much over his lifetime. But just in the next year, he's going to 4X it, 5X it.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
And he's going to have that confidence to go out and do it again and hopefully help other people get confidence to do it.
100%. And I want to go into, because marketing podcast, right? About opening up, or is it partnering it, or opening up the Remax locations? Is that you guys are partners, or how does that work?
With Remax?
Yeah.
So I'm a franchisee. You're the
Franchisee.
franchisor, yes.
Okay, so getting into the marketing aspect of it, like, what were some of the things that you did? Because as you were scaling, adding people, like, how do you get known in your industry or in your neighborhood? Because I feel like, I see a lot of realtors that I'm like, that are in this area, that I'm like, I didn't even know you were a realtor. You know what I mean?
So what we did on the brokerage side to get known, and my avatar was the realtor,
Mm-hmm.
was the agent. I started doing events. Every month I'd rent out a room, whether it would be we did some at the Pines Manor or whatever. We'd rent out the room, we'd have breakfast, and we would market to realtors to come to our free event, right? Because I wanted to show the agents what it's like to work with me before they worked with me. And we would do a training, whether it's get more listings, whatever it is. Or we had top agent panels, and we would use this event as a reason to reach out to agents. Because the worst thing you could do is just reach out to people with nothing of value.
Mm-hmm.
Like, hey, how are you doing? Like, why don't you come work with me? No, goodbye. So I would get these people at the event. So we were hitting agents 6, 7, 8 times a month, just inviting them to these events between email campaigns, text, and calls, right? Because like anything else is you want to keep hitting your prospects. And we would do it every month. And we would fill a room. We'd have 100 people in the room, whatever else. After every event, if we nailed it, someone would come up to me and be like, I really love everything you're doing. I'd like to get more information. And I tell people, like, what we're doing here is just scratching the surface. Like at our brokerages, we go deeper into it and everything else. So what we did was really just sort of like day one marketing. Do an event, have a webinar, get people to come with it, show your authority. And I learned over years on how to present and I really worked on my craft of presenting, being a speaker, because it was funny. If you told me I would ever get paid to speak, I would have laughed. But what happened is we started at the East Brunswick Public Library. We could rent out a room for $125. It had a screen that was ripped, and we used to have to duct tape the back. And we get bagels for like $80. Bring them in. So for $200, we could do this event. And it started off with maybe 20 people in the room. And then we just kept going and building and building. But, now we were last year, we were the #1 real estate office in Middlesex County.
Nice.
And the reason we were able to do that was just the years of adding that value, doing those events, and just bringing in some of the best talent in the area.
That's awesome, man. And I think that's a huge thing that, business owners forget to do, because they're constantly just trying to work on the business. But I feel like when you first start, you don't really know what to work on. You're just trying to get clients and do random things and try to put the pieces together. And a lot of times, like, you just gotta let people know that you're here, and you gotta provide value and be like, this is what I do. I mean, how long have we been working on you for?
Yeah. Well, and it's kind of like Alex Hormozy, what he says, right? It's like, what is sale? You gotta let people know that you have something to sell.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like, don't overcomplicate it. You have to let people know that you have something to sell, and you have to sell it. And what I tell agents is same thing with your business. It's great that you're going to tell me to turn my clocks back or turn my clocks forward, right? But educate. Come from a place of education. Do buyer seminars. Do seller seminars. And we help agents with setting up doing buyer seminars over Zoom, and market it and get people there. And then I remember an agent being like, well, what if I only get like 3 people to my seller seminars? I'm like, oh shit, you're going to spend $100 and have 3 leads they could put into your pipeline who are thinking about selling their house that they would actually come on your webinar. God forbid. That would be the worst fucking thing that ever happened. And they're like, yeah, I guess you're right. Or I was like, you could pay Zillow $10,000 to maybe get a seller, or you could build your own pipeline. And I think one of the things that a lot of agents struggle in, and the reason 75% of realtors don't do a single deal, is they don't look at marketing. They don't respect marketing.
Yeah.
I always say to agents, I'll go up on the board or put up on the screen, I put the prayer emoji. And I said, this is not a lead generation strategy.
All right.
Hoping and praying your phone rings is not going to pay your bills.
100%.
But the more you can learn about marketing and the more you take it serious, the higher you're going to grow your business, and then you get referrals and networking like any other sales.
You just get way more control over your business. It's just the control that you have.
Yeah, and way more, right? Your database. Even when I started doing the events to get people to come join the company, I didn't even think it was marketing. But really, it was building a big sales funnel.
Yeah.
Right? Having people in this funnel, email, text, thank you for attending. Once they register, they get a video. The day before, the morning of, they get a video. Thank you for attending video. Like, we were just dripping. We were really marketing at a high level, but I was just like, I don't know, I was just doing this, right?
Yeah. Just felt right.
Yeah, and people get wrapped up into, I've talked to other brokers, like, well, I don't have as many agents. I don't have the budget to do these events. I didn't have a budget when I was doing it at the East Brunswick Library. But for $200, I could figure out how to get it done. There's always a way to do it if you really want to do it.
Yeah, seems like a lot of people have excuses.
Okay. Let me ask you a question. Did you ever say, I'm too busy? I didn't have the time to do it.
I try not to, but yeah.
You have, right? Everyone has, right? What is your favorite thing to do in the world?
Favorite thing to do would probably be go to the beach.
Go to the beach. If I call you and I said, okay, tomorrow, I'm going to pick you up in a private jet. We are going to go to the best beach in the world. We're talking most beautiful beach. I just need you to be there at 9 o'clock tomorrow morning. I mean, this experience is going to fucking blow your mind. Are you going to have time?
Hell yeah.
You always have time to do the things you want. Right?
Yeah, you're going to tell everybody else, I'm too busy today.
Yeah, I'm too busy. It's like me. Right? I'm a golfer. I love golf. And like say I'm too busy. But if somebody calls me and says, Carl, we're going to go play Augusta, where they play the Masters, one of the hardest courses to get on, am I going to have the time to do it?
Yeah, you are.
Hell yeah, I'm going to have the time to do it, right? We always have the time to do the things. It's when we don't really want to do the thing, we say, I don't know, I've been busy, I don't have the time.
So true.
So true.
That's a good one.
Because agents tell me all the time, I don't have time to prospect. Like, shit, you just found 3 hours to watch the new episodes of Paradise. Like, you have time to prospect.
Yeah. You just don't want to do it.
You just don't want to do it. But if you change that mindset of like, I get to do it.
Yeah.
Like, I get to build a pipeline. I get to make a lot of money doing this. That's when it all changes.
And I think the other thing is a lot of people might not understand it, like mathematically, what marketing actually does for you? Because if you did put, let's say, a $3,000 event together and got 200 people there, right, and closed 10% of the people at that event, right, you spent $2,000-$3,000 on the event. Those 20 people brought back, let's say, $20,000. You just 10x'd like the investment. And so people don't really understand it in that point. They look at the immediate and go, oh, I don't want to spend that type of money to like try to bring in these people. But what are those leads going to bring you? What are those connections going to bring you?
Well, the problem is most people don't have any degree of risk.
Mm-hmm.
If you said, I guarantee it, they'll do it.
Yeah.
Right? If I said, owner, you do 3,000, I guarantee you'll get 300,000. You're going to do it all day long, right? But it's a risk. You might not. You might lose the $3,000.
Sure.
Right? And that's okay. But you got to remember the mentality of most people is that safety.
Yeah.
100%.
You know, I was at the bank yesterday getting a new, lost my debit card like an asshole. So I go to the bank, I get a new debit card, and the guy's like, oh, what do you do? I'm like, I'm in real estate. I was like, I own the Remax in town. He's like, yeah, it's like a really bad time to buy real estate, right? He's like, I think it's a bad time. I'm like, I bought a $4 million strip mall on Friday. Like, oh. But that's why, I don't want to say, but, you can't listen to everybody, because you're going to miss a lot of opportunities. And one thing I know is I've never met somebody who was like 70, 80 years old. It's just happened. If you're sitting in Boca on a beautiful beach, you're talking to, an old G who's like 70, 80 years old, and he's like, oh, I own real estate. He's never going to say, yeah, I wish I owned less.
Yeah.
They're always going to say, I wish I learned more.
Yeah.
I wish I owned more. So like, who am I to like overthink it? Just keep buying the right type of real estate. And then when I'm 70 and chilling, smoking a cigar, I could be like, I wish I bought more.
Yeah. Yeah. I think one thing that you didn't kind of mention too in the marketing play when you put these events together, an important thing you just said is you became a better speaker. You made sure you became a better speaker. And I think, yeah, you might throw one event that you spend $3,000 on and make nothing, and 300 people show up and you still make nothing. But instead of you being like, that didn't work, you went, how can I make this better? How can I speak better? How can I sell better? How can I network better? Who's the people I got to bring in to make this thing better, right? And a lot of people don't do that.
Right. And how do I make the experience better, right? Mm-hmm. Because we use those events as a way, you want people to be attracted to you, right? I ended up changing it to like, we don't recruit, we become a magnet. Kind of like magnet marketing,
Like that, yeah.
We want people, it's a lot easier when people are closing you than when you're closing people. I've been there in recruiting appointments where agents ask like, can I join your company? Like, am I a good fit? And I'd be like, okay, let me think about it. Yes. But the most powerful close is when someone's closing you and you're not closing them.
Mm-hmm.
And what else is powerful is when you're coming from a place of abundance and you can say no. You know what? You're not the right client for us, and that's okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You tell a real estate agent like, hey, you might not be the right fit for this company, where they think they're the one adding all. It's a powerful thing.
100%.
And we've had to do that to agents who are good producers. And I always say, like, don't trust us, don't judge us by who we recruit, judge us by who we keep. Just because like any other sales job, you're gonna make a bad sale.
Yeah.
And sometimes you have to also part ways with those agents. But the toughest thing is when you come from scarcity, like you guys with the media company. If you have one client and they're a pain in the ass, you're going to deal with it.
Yeah.
Right?
That's true.
They're calling you every day. They're texting you but they're like, we have one client. Like, we'll do whatever they want.
Mm-hmm.
If you have 20 clients and you got one that's a pain in the ass, it's a lot easier to go tell that pain in the ass, get out.
100%.
We're not the right fit. And when you can do that, and you have that leverage, and that's when your business just really starts flywheeling.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Especially now, because it's like, I think we're really locked in on who our ICP is, and it makes all the difference in the world. I mean, one of the biggest shifts that we did was what my brother was mentioning before is, and on our avatar it says our ideal client has to make at least $1 to $2 million a year, and then the second thing is they've had to have at least built some type of business, like successful business. And if they don't hit those two boxes, like it's not even worth to deal with them at
Right.
all. Because one of our goals when we started this company at first is there's so many fake gurus and experts out there that are trying to tell you to do all this crazy shit. It's like, why are you going to listen to these random people on the internet? Like, why don't you listen to someone that's actually built something? You know what I mean? And that's what we want to change in our space.
Well, I think that's why you guys have also grown a lot, and you're able to be a lot more selective with your clients now than you were a few years ago, because you just know what the core value of your business is.
Yeah.
And once you know your core value, and once you know your avatar, then it's, and listen, we did the same. Like in our property management company, we signed up a lot of properties that we shouldn't have, whether we're not being property managers for slumlords. If the house isn't in a certain condition, or you're not willing to put the money into it to make it a certain condition, like we won't manage the property.
Right.
And I always say, you'll find another property manager who'll be more than willing to let you sign that agreement. But those properties are usually the most draining.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they're usually the most taxing, right? We kind of know like who's the right landlord for us in our company. And the moment we did that and we let some clients go, our company went from chaos to like smooth sailing.
Right.
Yeah.
And that is a chaos business, property management.
I can
Yeah, I'm
imagine.
sure. Wow. Yeah.
You're never getting calls just like, hey, I'm checking in. It's always like, house is on fire, something's flooding, right?
Yeah.
So, but the moment you're able to eliminate that noise, you're able to double down on your avatar, you usually make more money and you're like, less work.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but it seems like you do need to go through that chaos to be able to figure out, that end result, right?
You have to be able to go through that chaos. You have to recognize you're in that chaos. You have to figure out who your right client is. But where a lot of people get stuck is they won't get rid of the wrong client.
Mm.
They'll hold on to them. And you're not doing yourself or that client a favor.
Yeah.
Yeah, no one wants to live like that,
Yeah, like in our property management, we have an avatar, but do we once in a while get somebody outside the box? Yes. Right? And we service it, but we know it's outside the box.
Yeah.
Right.
And we know we're going to give it to, well, we got to, make sure we're watching it. Even with the agents, like we have a certain type of agent. I'm not the brand new real estate agent coach. And we have some people in our organization that can, but I'm really good at taking that agent, maybe doing $2 to $5 million a year, getting them to 10. And I love doing that because you got somebody, you're doubling their income. You're getting them from basically not making that much more than if you worked at Costco full time to getting somebody who's making some real money.
Right.
And you're able to get somebody to do that, they have a lot of loyalty,
Absolutely.
right? Because you're changing their life. A lot of real estate agents, if you sell 10 houses a year, if your average price is $500, $5 million, you could be right on that borderline of really living month to month,
Yeah.
living check to check, and sometimes you're making just as much as if you were literally working at Costco. So getting that people to that 10 million, we offer a lot of support and everything to help you scale your business. But that's why I say you want to build loyalty in business is you help that person grow.
If you guys are enjoying this podcast, please be sure to like, subscribe, and leave a comment. It always helps us out, and we're trying to grow this as big as possible, get a bunch of entrepreneurs out here so we can give you as much value back. Now back to the episode.
Yeah, like what you were saying is I've seen my circle of friends change tremendously as more and more time and successful. I mean, some of it's just natural. Like you'll see if you have kids one day and your friends don't have kids, it just changes, right? And your circle starts changing with your kids. But like it started off as friends who were just like joke around, like, oh yeah, Carl, business, blah, blah, blah. Yeah. But then I realized like they actually weren't kidding. They weren't happy. They were, I don't know if it was jealous was the right word, or they thought like, oh, I was smarter than Carl at school. Like, how is he doing this and I'm not? That type of thing. So your circle changes. I mean, that's inevitable. That's life. And I think some people hold on to their old circle too long and it weighs them down. And the conversations I have in my circle now are night and day difference to like what they were. And I get a lot more excited about the conversations in my circle now.
Yeah.
Plus, as you get more successful and your circle gets better, you get to do cooler shit.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's one thing that I got lucky on is like two of my it's 5 of us that's like been friends since high school, but 2 of us or 3 of us including me own businesses. So like we're always just talking about like how to grow our business, and a lot of people don't understand that. Like we'll go out to like here and there like every couple months and when we get together because they all have kids and stuff. You know, it's always, you know, everybody's like, can we just stop talking about business? And it's just like, well, I love talking about this shit. You know?
Yeah. And I think, you know, it's part of being a business. I think the word balance is overrated because it's hard to have balance. When you're running a business, especially in the beginning or in the growing stage, like it consumes you. It's all you think about.
Oh, yeah.
You know, one of the reasons I started playing golf was it was one of the, and I started getting like really addicted to playing. It was one of the first things I could start doing where I could stop thinking about business. And to me, I think that meant a lot because I was just business. And I remember I was just like, shit, I need a fucking hobby or something. Yeah. And then golf is such a challenging sport, or it's a challenge amongst you and a challenge amongst other people, that like it instantly just clicked for me. Like this gives me the same rush as business.
Yeah.
Like
it's important.
I'm in. You know, and
we gotta go this year.
Yeah, definitely.
I haven't swung a golf club in 2 years, but whoa, shit, what is that?
But you need that other. You know, when you look back and you're on your deathbed, you're never gonna think, "Oh man, I wish I started another business." Like, "Oh, I wish I made more money." Right?
Yeah.
You're gonna wish like, "Oh, you know," you're gonna say, "Oh, I wish I had more of these memories. I wish I spent more time with the people I care for." So I think when I hit like 40, and I guess like COVID was hitting, and I just had more time. I was just like, what am I gonna, like, I can't just, you know, I don't want this to be my whole identity. This is a part of me. This isn't me.
Mm-hmm.
And I always say all the time, like, if I decided I didn't want to be in Remax or real estate business anymore, like, I could walk away tomorrow and just be fine. But I still enjoy it. So I still do it. But, like, it's not just who I am. Mm-hmm. And I did this to the agents because this time of year, I call it like award season for realtors. There's awards after awards after awards after awards. And I do a call and I tell the agents, I'm like, listen, you might not have hit the numbers you wanted to. You might not have got the award you wanted to, but like just be clear that award or that goal is not your identity. And too many people will make that their identity.
Yeah.
I didn't hit my goal, I'm a loser. And I said, if you look at someone's baseball card, they have good years, they got bad years. It's one chapter of your book. Like, get over it. Move on. You are much more than, you know, and I had an agent who's like, Carl, I had a really bad year last year. All right, what does that mean? Like, well, I made a little bit less money. How much did you make? Like 5% less. Okay. What good happened? Well, but I was at all my kids' softball. I was at all my kids' matches. Did all this. I spent so much good time with my family. I'm like, oh, so your year was bad because you spent so much time with your family and made pretty much the same amount of money? They're like, well, I didn't think of it like that. Like, or would you rather say, hey, Carl, I made 10% more money, but my quality of life was shit?
Yeah.
Like, put a little bit of perspective. You know,
it's so true.
Yeah, I don't get like really tied into like, did I have a good year? Did I have a bad year? Like, I had a year.
Yeah.
I'm still doing good. You know, this winter I got to do a week in Disney with my family. I got to go on a couple golf trips in Florida. So I basically did like a month in Florida. And if there was a winter to do it, this was the fucking winter. So to me, it's like, yeah, maybe it's going to cost me an extra couple bucks in the long run, but my quality of life is like what I want.
Yeah, you need that. Yeah, that's why you're doing all this work.
Yeah, you can't take it, you know, like being in Disney when there's a snowstorm going on and I'm watching my kids go down the slot, having the time of their life.
Yeah.
Like, did I give a shit if maybe I lost a deal out of it? Like, who cares? Go out and make it back up. Like, you gotta do that.
With your kids and your wife, you know?
Right. And I'm on my deathbed, I'm going to remember that hell of a lot more than an agent who said I was an asshole who didn't like what I did or something. Like, you know, that's life.
Yeah.
100%.
And you're going to see this. You know, if you have kids one day, dude, it goes fast. You know, my business partner said this to me when my daughter was born. My daughter's turning 9. He's like, the days are fast. He goes, the days are long, but the years are fast. First thing I said to him, I said, no fucking way you made that up. No way. No way. That is way too good. But he was right. You know, my daughter's turning 9. I was like, oh my gosh, she's going to be 9. Like, once that stage passes, you never get it back. Right? And then the kids get to the age where they don't really want to hang out with you.
Yeah.
Right? They want to hang out with their friends. So I always say I'm going to buy a beach. People are like, well, why don't you have a beach house? I'm going to buy a beach house the day my kids don't want to hang out with me, because I'm going to be, they're going to be like, what are you doing? I'm like, I'm at the beach house. Like, wait, we have a beach house? Yeah, I tell you. Can I come? Like,
That's
okay,
smart.
sure. Now you want to hang out with me, right? Because we're sitting here in Lavalette. Like, all right, come hang out, you know? So that's what I'm waiting to buy, the beach house. But it's been an awesome roller coaster. And I think one thing that any business owner is we always want more. Right? How do we get bigger? How do we get better? And the money is, obviously you're doing it for the money, but at the end of the day, the money is in an account and stuff that gets wired around. Like, you do it for the money, but you also do it for the satisfaction of doing it.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I never really thought about, like, when me and my brother first started, it wasn't really about the money for us. It was about growing and making something bigger than that was something that was bigger than us. I mean, one of the first, like, checks we got from Kyle, he gave us a check like 3 months into working or 4 months into working, and I came home because I just had done a film session with Kyle, and like I can tell he felt bad because we were working like crazy, and gave me a check. He's like, here's a check, whatever. And I was so excited. I got home and I'm like, bro, Ocon, like, Kyle gave us a check, $500, like, let's cash this thing. And then he like literally looks at me. He's like, dude, if we cash that in right now, like, we're in it for the money. And I was like, what do you mean? He's just like, we're in it for the money. This is not why we started this thing. And then we voided the check and we never cashed it. And then 4 months later, the entire thing exploded.
That's awesome.
You know?
Yeah.
So I was just like, because we were in it to just grow something that was bigger than us and be able to service people and work with people. And like, I remember like even the first year, like Kyle took us to Orlando to the mastermind that I just came back from. He does it every year. And then we're in Miami, and then we're in San Diego, and then like we're flying all over the place with clients and stuff. And like every time we would look at a different location, it would be like, dude, we started this out of a fucking basement. Like, how do we end up here? You know what I mean? Like, and that's the coolest feeling in the world.
Yeah. And it's like when I started my real estate career, like I started working like a dog in April and didn't make any money to February. And I remember people being like, you're nuts, you're crazy, what are you doing? Go get a job, you have a master's degree. And, you know, I just shut it all out because for me in the beginning, I wasn't working for the money. I was working to build something. And I wasn't working for a check. I mean, I was really just working to, like you said, build something that would really grow and be able to give me a lot of opportunity. And I remember after my first closing, I was like, oh shit, I just figured this out. I remember telling my mom, I said, listen, if I have 2 closings a month, I'll get 2 checks a month. It's like a fucking job.
Yeah.
So instead of focusing on like how many closings I wanted to do that year, I just wanted to focus on, let me start getting 2 closings a month.
Yeah. And
then I started getting 2, and I said, if I do 2 closings a month, I should make like $100,000. And this was back 20 years ago, so the $100,000 was a lot more than like $100,000 now. And started doing 2, started doing 3, started doing 4 closings a month.
Yeah.
You know, I had a day where I did 8 closings in one day.
Damn.
And I was just like, oh, this is good.
Yeah.
Right? This is what it means. And like, without putting in that 8 months of work and building those relationships. And I always say the best thing that happened to me was in those 8 months, I didn't land a whale. And what I mean by that is there was banks that could have enough properties to feed you for just the year, just that one bank. But I never got one of those. But what I ended up getting about 20 to 30 different banks. And none of them were whales, but 2 here, 2 here, 2 there. So my business was pretty bulletproof. Because if you have that one big account and you're working just for that one big account, if you lose it, you're in trouble.
Yeah.
But I had so many accounts and a lot of things changed in the banking, especially, I mean, I was doing this in 2008 when banks were turning upside down, you know, Countrywide became Bank of America, whatever. Where if I was like, oh, if I had one big account, I'd be screwed. But since I have so many small accounts feeding me, if I lose one, it's really not a big deal.
Yeah.
But if you have that one and you lose it, it's a big deal.
Yeah.
And I'd say, you know, obviously me and owner,
Just making sure we're still recording on that thing.
we're say me and owner, like, you know, obviously we really look up to you, what you've built. Obviously a lot of people do. You got a lot of information that, you know, you've learned and grew a big business, have a bunch of real estate. If you were to say, just to kind of tie it up, one thing to the audience about, after everything you've gone through, what is one key advice that you give to the audience from everything you've learned so far?
Invest in good people. If you have an A player, give them opportunities and give them chances to grow with you. And if you do that, your life will be so much easier.
That's good.
And I also have the attitude, like, I don't have to own 100% of anything. So kind of like I was saying with my business, having all those little accounts. If you have a bunch of different businesses that are getting ran really well with good people running it, if something changes and that one business is done, you have other ones that are going to pick you up.
Yeah.
So really just investing in your A players, man. You get that right hire, it right off the bat. Just vice versa. Like if you make a bad hire, it right off the bat.
Yeah.
So I think people undervalue investing in people.
Yeah.
No, yeah. Invest in other, that's what we're doing right now. So trying to hire more people. So
Yeah, that's our next big thing.
So.
Right. Like you guys can't be doing all the editing and everything anymore.
No, it's impossible.
No way.
Because who's going to go out and get the more business?
Yeah.
Right. So.
Yeah. That's definitely a reframe for this year and a big change that we got to make and start to grow, because we put out a bunch of proposals last year towards the end of the year, and now they're all starting to come back slowly and accepting them. So it's like, okay, how do we take on this new business?
Yeah. Well, thank you so much, Carl, for.
I appreciate you guys, man.
Yeah, thanks, Carl.
I didn't know if I was ever going to get an invite to the brother show. here for
Anytime,
HasMedia.
man. Anytime. We can do this on a weekly basis if you want.
Yeah, literally. I'm happy to talk to you anytime. But where can they find you on social media?
My Instagram's Carl Sanfilippo. Same thing with Facebook. Just reach out to me in DM. I love helping people. We put together ways to help people get into real estate investing, or if you're already into it, to scale it. It's not as hard as people think.
Awesome, man.
Awesome.
Thanks for coming through and being on the podcast. And till next time, guys, like, subscribe, comment, and let us know your thoughts